Looking for a way to reconnect and reset? Awaken Pittsburgh offers free guided meditations open to everyone, online and in person, on the first and third Wednesdays, second Saturdays, and third Mondays of each month. Each session includes guided practice, reflection, and space for questions and support. No experience needed. Sign up on Eventbrite and join the community.
Hello friends, my name is Stephanie Romero and I am the founder and executive director of Awaken Pittsburgh. I want to welcome you to our podcast, The Ripple Effect. Awaken Pittsburgh is a nonprofit dedicated to fostering well-being, empathy, and compassion for all by teaching and encouraging mindfulness and meditation practices. I also want to take a moment to let you know that Awaken Pittsburgh offers many other opportunities for practice and connection. For example, you can join our online community, which features a space to more deeply explore the topics we cover with our guests. We have weekly posts to spark thought, practice, and reflection. I hope you will come join us to explore, connect with others, and deepen your practice. You can find out more at awakenpittsburgh.org. Welcome to the Ripple Effect podcast. My guest today is Lawrence Schuessler, a man who has spent over 25 years at the intersection of wild landscapes and the inner world. Lawrence has guided and facilitated people in wild spaces all over the globe, but his journey into mindfulness actually began with a spark of inspiration, seeing the Dalai Lama speak. Captivated by his energy, Lawrence set out to find his own path in meditation. That path has led to profound level of training and service. Lawrence has completed the Advanced Practitioner Program at Spirit Rock Meditation Center, the Inward Bound Mindfulness Education Teacher Training, and is currently in the Community Dharma Leaders Training at Spirit Rock. He also supports Nature Dharma retreats with Susie Harrington and cites masters like Jack Kornfield, Sylvia Boorstein, Joanna Hardy, and Brian Lesage as core influences on his practice. His academic and professional background is equally vast, with a BA in Adventure Education from Prescott College and a Master's in Outdoor Education Sustainable Leadership from Gaia University. He has taught for institutions including Stanford, UCLA, UCSF, Outward Bound, and NOLS. For Lawrence, the past 20 years of Vipassana meditation and yoga aren't just about personal peace, they're about liberation. As a queer man, he's passionate about supporting others in showing up as their authentic selves and is dedicated to lifting up those who live on the fringes or face oppression. When he isn't working, Lawrence can be found watercolor painting, riding his bike, or rock climbing with his partner in Joshua Tree. Lawrence, thank you so much for being on the Ripple Effect podcast with me. I am excited to deepen our relationship through this conversation.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
So I always am so interested in learning about how people have come to meditation. So I'd love it if you could share your journey. And was there any specific thing or crisis? For me, there was a crisis that brought me to meditation. So I'm just curious, was there any specific moment that led you to meditation and put you on this path?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, there were a few touch points, I guess I would say. I was at the time, a lot. Yeah, growing up in the Midwest, leaving home early without a plan, living on the streets in different ways, and then pulling myself up with some friend support. I ended up in Madison, Wisconsin, living literally in a friend's closet, and the UW, University of Wisconsin there. And as you know, colleges have all sorts of events. We went to see the Dalai Lama talk, and it was the most, just the presence, right? Full presence. I don't remember everything. I remember how I felt being in the room. I remember what it felt like, which is how I kind of navigate life. And I was like, whatever that homie's on, I want some of that. So there's a touch point like, what's that guy on? Who is that guy? What's going on? So doing, I'd access to libraries and stuff. So just starting to read. This was before everybody had computers and phones and all the things like that. And just hearing, asking people questions, reading books, and watching movies about the Dalai Lama. I was like, whoa, there's this whole, so many worlds, but this world was so new to me. And I'd always been curious ever since middle school of like, this is it? What's with this life? There's got to be more. So I've always been like a searcher in that way, but never had any exposure to meditation or mindfulness or Buddhism. Fast forward a while, going to Prescott College in Arizona, taking a religious class, taking a yoga class, more exposure, more exposure. Um, and especially that was at the YMCA, so I was able to go there and we would do a short sit at the end of yoga. And I was still, relating to my body, I guess you would say, finding my body, finding a connection to my body, I guess I would say. And that, like, I just laid down during those after yoga session sits. And I noticed maybe a moment, maybe a half a second of ease. And I never really felt that before. I never really felt ease. I didn't know what that meant. Um, I always felt disconnected from my body. Also, I'm trans, so that was part of that. And feeling that moment of ease, feeling that moment, just, again, it just like felt like that, how I felt a moment with the Dalai Lama. So that's when, and I had friends at Prescott College that were meditators. So I became curious about this. And actually, somebody I went to Prescott College with ended up working for Inward Bound Mindfulness and leading backpacking mindfulness trips. And so I started going to those and sitting. And so, like, it was just like I guess, breadcrumbs led me along the way. But I think a big thing was getting sober as well and recognizing, oh, right, I have to sit with this mind 24 hours a day, except when I'm sleeping. And I read as well, I read some literature just on different, there's always free pamphlets, especially in college towns in Madison. And I read some literature as well. And like, this is what meditation is. It's not turning off your mind, it's being with. So I was just so curious. So I would say getting sober led me to it. I would say seeing the Dalai Lama led me to it. And I would say being curious and feeling the experience of what ease could feel like led me to it. And then there were just different. The partner I was with, she was a meditator. Okay, I'm going to start sitting, So it was kind of like a slow build, I will say. And then had been meditating since about 2006 regularly. And yeah, really grateful I found it because even today, sitting here, I can't even imagine thinking back on that. I'm like, whoa. If one thing didn't happen in that path, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now. Yeah, and have some ease in my mind and my body, not consistent, but definitely have some ease in my mind and this body. So,
Yeah, I'm appreciating your story. That kind of connection and being a fully embodied person and really feeling and understanding what it is to be embodied for me was a journey as well,
mhm, mhm,
just because of a history of childhood sexual abuse that
mhm.
disconnected me from being present to my body. So I really appreciate you naming that because I think a lot of us walk around as big heads
Yep.
just
Hmm.
thinking people, right? There's no
Yeah.
body connected to this brain or whatever what that is, right?
Right. Totally.
And I think yoga, you named yoga for me was part of my work, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
To feel into what it is to be in a body.
Yeah, totally. In yoga, I'm so grateful. I had no idea what it was.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And again, it was a friend that was like, I'm going, give it a try. Again, offering. And that,
Yeah.
like, I feel like the way people bring things to each other makes a big difference. And for me, it made a big difference. I felt like I could show up. I suck at yoga. I fall all the time, but that's not even what it's about, right? For me back then, it was like, I have a leg. What does it feel like to be with this leg, with this foot? And anytime, even now that I'm totally disconnected for a number of reasons, life, whatever, I will do some yoga, sun salutations. It's that quick. 10 minutes and I'm like, oh, right, I have a body. Oh, right, there you are. Yeah, yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it's just so important to keep ourselves and for me it's the same way. I have to do the thing to reconnect with
Hmm.
my body. It's not an
Yeah,
auto and some people it is automatic and they have other things that they're working on, but
sure.
I'm really relating to that in my own life and practice and that's why they call it a practice, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Totally.
So you
Yeah.
mentioned inward bound,
Mhm.
which definitely you're still working with, correct? Yeah?
On and off. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They've been through different, that program director is now working for the Best Family Foundation, supporting nature retreats. And so, like, in and out, and different people have been in those roles there. I think the last retreat, I do a lot of teen retreats with them. We were doing wilderness for a while, and then they stopped that, and now they're doing more like, at sites, at locations. Still, there's outside, but different. Yeah, but yeah, I was doing the New Year's one for a while. And I'm hoping I'm an assistant teacher there, and I'm hoping it'll come back. They're always like continuing to develop their program. But why I love working with them for a number of reasons, the young people, but also because a lot of the adults that are there are kind of looking for the same acceptance, allowing themselves as is. It's not full silent retreats, it's in and out of silence, which I think is also beautiful for me because I do notice a difference with my presence and my mindfulness when I start talking again. So it is a good practice. And a lot of the adults, we just want to connect with each other, as much as the teens do. But it's a really wonderful space for folks to fully just show up as is and explore and be curious, and it's not just sitting. We're doing relational mindfulness, which is connecting with each other, deep listening, noticing if our judgments come up when somebody's sharing, what's being curious, what are your intentions or motivations for asking questions. And that deep listening, I see it and I feel it with myself. That deep listening does the teens and the adults do say there is a deeper connection when they can really show up for each other that way without devices, without all the, distractions we have. So yeah, it's a really beautiful space. Hmm.
I love that idea that you would pause to notice what's coming up for you while somebody else is speaking before just reacting, because I know even in our programming at Awaken, like we do some practices around trying to notice if you are actually listening to what the person is fully saying or if you're listening to respond.
Totally. Yep. Yep. Which most of the time,
All right.
that's what I'm doing. And when I'm reminded, what would it be like to deep listen, to relate to this person mindfully, then I'm not planning what I'm going to say, knowing that I can pass or come back to me. But it's like, what if I was fully to give this person my attention and what that feels like and having that experience on both sides with
Mm-hmm.
somebody else and then having that happen to me? It can be uncomfortable, but it's also really beautiful, actually.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
Yes.
I'll notice what's coming. Oh, I'm judging what they're saying, judging. What if I just related to them? What if I just heard them and I try to send compassion. That's like my biggest thing.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
and that's the way we actually do the listening activity is our instruction is for the listener.
Yeah.
Your only job is to work on opening your heart to
Nice.
whatever that person is saying and seeing if you can give that to them.
Oh, that's
Just
beautiful.
receive with an
Yes.
open heart. Whatever they're saying,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
receive with an open heart. Just that. That's your job. And if other stuff's
Whew.
coming up, just notice it and then
Yeah.
come back to, I'm going to open
Yeah.
my heart to whatever this person has to
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what we all need. That's what the
Yeah.
world needs. Like,
Yeah.
what if
Yeah.
that was the world we lived in? We
Yes.
navigated. I mean, that right there is like, and that's, I think, what helps me. I know it's a big part of my practice is I come back to the cushion. I come back to being outside where I sit 90% of the time because of that. Like if I can remember to be embodied in my heart, if I can remember to come from that place and that place alone, knowing the other stuff's going to come up because that's what brains do. Like how can I relate to the world around me? And how does that feel for me in my body as well? It feels way better coming from a place of compassion than like judgment, whatever. Like whatever the other things, so many other things. It's like, oh, I'm more in my body and yeah. and just in my depth of compassion for me or along with or with including whatever the word is with the people around me, the beings around me. And that's the world I want to live in. That's the world, that's what I'm working towards, liberation for all.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. 100%.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we've been kind of touching on this idea of meditation and nature
Hmm.
combined. And I think a lot of folks who are listening might not naturally make that connection.
Hmm.
You know, like
Hmm.
they'll think of a meditation hall or a group, or like you said, meditate with yoga, right?
Hmm.
And you do something called Nature Dharma,
Yeah.
right? And so
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love for you to just talk to me about what that means for you. What is Nature Dharma? And you also do some work in forests and deserts and places like that. So what is that and how is it different? And what does it offer that you think is beautiful and why are you doing that work?
Totally. Totally. It's a great question. Yeah. So when I first got introduced in all the different ways, going to these different meditation centers, Spirit Rock, Green Gulch, IMS, Insight Meditation Society, these are all centers, which is awesome. It's great there are centers that exist. But in this body, centers, growing up, going to Lutheran church, going to those places, uncomfortable, don't want to be in it, sterile, just like all the thing, institutional, all that stuff comes up for me. So I know there was a block at the beginning for me. I was just like, ooh, or you got to pay or whatever the thing is. And there's a whole thing with money. I have things with money. So at first I was that's like part of the block for me was like, ooh, but I just want to be outside. All of this can happen outside, right? And I know there's different reasons it can't happen for everybody, but that was a big thing noticing for me. My practice didn't settle, meaning I couldn't drop in, like there was a hump or a block or something until somebody, one of my teachers, gave me permission, literally just said, "You have permission to sit outside." Once they said that, it was a Spirit Rock teacher. Once they said that, my whole body relaxed and I spent the whole rest of the retreat outside. And it was awesome. It was like from 5 a.m. until 9 p.m. I was outside. And yeah, I missed some things, of course, but it gave me the permission, that permission gave me permission to fully show up and be with nature. And that's when my practice deepened. And also, side note, I'm a wilderness guide, so I already felt comfortable outside. Um, and I just noticed like that was a big key for me. It still is. Whenever I feel this pressure to be inside, I'm in some trainings and they all take place indoors, and I'm just like, can we go outside or can I sit outside or like do something where, we don't have a speaker, but can we figure it out? And other people were like, yes, I want to do that too. But for me, mindfulness is when I'm outside, I'm more mindful automatically, like right off the bat. Like before this, I went and sat in the backyard just for a few minutes to ground out without my shoes on. I live in Joshua Tree, feet on the rocks, just like fully needed the sun on my face. Oh, there you are. There you are. But for me, yeah, nature just brings me, it grounds me. Um, and it reminds me every time I'm outside that I am nature. We are nature. Humans are nature. And of course, indoors is great for a number of reasons, right? And outdoors for me is the way that I can relate to my mindfulness and I can relate to a feeling of enough and that I belong. And so when that permission was given, my practice changed for sure. And how I related to retreat changed because I didn't feel like I had to be inside. That being said, what I do in the world now and I'm working towards doing is helping people find ease outside. That's like what I'm hoping to do. Whether that's information driven, like how do I take care of myself? What do I wear? What do I eat? Ba 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 ba. Whether it's looking at their trauma, maybe there are folks with certain identities that outside brings up stuff, which totally makes sense. There's a block, right? But outside doesn't mean you have to be outside. Outside could be a window open. Outside could be a plant inside, like it could be noise, visual. It doesn't need to be the most extreme version of being outside. And I try to remind folks that it doesn't need to be freezing in Antarctica, sitting on an ice block. It can be so many things on your patio. It can be looking at nature on a television screen. We all have different abilities and bodies. And so finding a way that you can find ease outside or be close to the nature that's around us, I think that's like the jam. And that's my part of my goal in life is to, with knowledge about being outside, part of my goal is to, I call it gatekeeping. I think other people's call it like the people with the knowledge are the ones that can do the thing. And I don't think that's okay. I have knowledge. I would like to open it up to whoever is curious and wants to give it a go because that is just also amazing if you're willing to like I want to step into the unknown or just like step into something I maybe have a history with that didn't sit well. So I'd like to bring people outside, sitting retreat in nature, whether it's movement, backpacking, sea kayaking, canoeing. I'm already doing that with some teachers. And also base camping, just like sitting in one place and we just sit outside, have our sangha outside. Um, because for me, that has really allowed the Dharma to come in because it's snowing out, it's raining out. This is what's happening right now, whatever that Pema saying is, your mind is the sky. And there's something about just weather coming in, like that's really what's happening outdoors. And Nature Dharma's definitely people are interested. There's a lot of different organizations having trainings right now and just having more retreats outdoors. And I'm seeing it continue to happen, and it gets me really excited because we all live somewhere and there's some sort of access to the outdoors. Whether, we judge it or not, in a city with noise, it's like that's what's happening. There's noise, there's police cars, there's all the things. Whether I live out here and there's, the national park right there, but there's still noise, there's still people, there's still things happening. So, yeah, I think nature dharma for me is kind of my main pathway and how I prefer to sit and to be in meditations outdoors. And a lot of people are excited. And I just talked with somebody right before this, and she was like, I went on an outdoor retreat and my mind is blown, and she lives in San Jose. She's like, now I just want to sit and be able to at least see the outdoors because I'm finding some ease in nature, and it's blown. She's been a meditator for 20 years and she's been nervous to do it. She's a woman of color. And she went on a retreat where it felt accessible and it's blowing her mind. And it's just really beautiful. So I'm hearing a lot of that, people sharing that with me because I'm quote unquote the nature guy in some of the circles. Yeah. And I'm stoked.
That's awesome. I'm glad you're the nature guy. Because I feel like everything you're saying, like, yes, you should be. You should be. Yeah. Yeah. And I think, like I'm a researcher, so I'm just
Mhm.
thinking about like the research behind forest bathing and the research about just like being in the presence of trees.
Yeah.
Right? And how that helps us physically, emotionally, mentally, like all of the things. And
Yeah.
we often those of us who live in urban situations,
Mhm.
we don't necessarily have access
Yeah.
in some situations. And
Mhm.
like I'm in this room almost all day, every day, because that's my job,
Right.
right? To
Right.
run an
Yeah.
organization, and we don't, it's a great reminder that we can just walk outside.
Totally.
We can just
Totally.
open the door and
Yeah.
walk outside.
Totally.
Although I am not in Joshua Tree, I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The weather and the sun are a little
Ooh.
different situation, but it's still
Yeah.
beautiful. It's still beautiful.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
had, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 inches of snow last week, and I mean, it's gorgeous when it
Yeah.
comes. We don't
Totally. Totally.
don't
Yeah.
always want to spend a long time out there, but
No. No. No, but
but
it
it is
still
beautiful.
exists outside. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other thing that you've been mentioning is this word ease. Like you've used
Mm-hmm.
it a number of times. I don't know, like what does that mean for you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I go to therapy because it's super helpful. And my therapist asked me that as well, like something about the word ease. Like, do you feel that in your life? And I was like, I never even thought about that. Like most of the work I do guiding people is helping them find, I wouldn't use the word ease, but finding some closeness to ease when they're outside, because a lot of the young people and adults I work with don't normally do that. So for me, ease it's a feeling. I don't know if you ever do like laying down meditation or Vipassana. It's a feeling, and I don't get it every time, but when literally my body, the weight is like all in the back of my body, and I'm fully like my legs are splayed out, my arms are splayed out, and I'm fully just like, oh, I would be like dead weight if somebody tried to pick me up. So for me, it feels like safer, I guess I'd use the word. It feels like I can fully show up as myself in this body as a trans person who, especially right now, is it's scary. It feels like taking up space, not all the space because of how I look, but taking up some space, knowing that there's enough space for everyone. And it feels like I don't have to continually track. Like I can do a lot of tracking in my life with my eyes or my body, how I position just because of traumas in the past. So I don't have to track. So it feels like a heavy, almost maybe when you're asleep, I don't know, but that dead weight. There's not a tightness, a contraction in my heart or in my muscles. Yeah, and I don't have to be like conscious of my safety, my personal safety and how I take up space. Yeah. And it's not, I don't feel it a lot. Just naming that, I don't feel it a lot. There's moments when I do feel it and I really feel it. And I can notice that. And moments I can think of that as deep in the backcountry when I'm not very close, 4 days in by myself or with a group, and just like fully away from all the chaos. Not that it's all bad, but some of the chaos I experience, the noise, that's a part of it. And then the weather, my body likes dry, hot weather. So how my skin feels as well. Yeah. Yeah. But safety is a big thing. Personal safety, emotional safety, knowing that it's not always present. And when it is, people who see me, understand me, and like allow me to be who I am and not trying to push me down, push me out of the way. What's it called? Filter me or like, kind of that work. So I'm getting close to moments of ease. And I know for a lot of folks, just having them shared with me, they don't feel a lot of ease in open spaces and nature settings for a number of reasons. There's so many reasons: trauma, historical trauma, color of skin, body in a female body, harassment. I mean, there are so many things that bring a lot of unease in natural settings for different reasons. And it's all, I mean, I experienced that as well. I didn't grow up doing any of this. And I went on a trip when I was 14 and it changed my life. It was the first time I was outdoors um, without all the natural buildings and stuff. And I just found it so amazing and so beautiful and so freeing because nobody was judging me. We were all getting rained on. We were all sleeping on the ground. We were all eating the same weird food. And that felt very kind of like leveling the playing field. And so that helped bring some, like, I want to keep doing this, at least to me, some insight and excitement to keep being in nature because I didn't feel like I couldn't be who I was out there. I felt like nature was just like, yep, like super neutral, just like, yep, this is what's happening. Here we all are. Doesn't matter what your demographics are, how much money you have, any of the things. And that is still true for me, even now. Still true for me. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, it doesn't matter who you are out there, you're going to get rained on the same.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's great. Well,
Yeah.
you named something I think really important is that in this very particular moment in time,
Mhm.
there
Mhm.
there I don't know even what word to use. There is a clear attack
Mhm. Yep.
on many people and their identities.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
I'm married to a Latino immigrant,
Mhm.
and that's one of the classes of people who, he's been a citizen in this country for many, many years.
Yeah.
He's been here for over 30 years,
Yeah.
and he doesn't feel safe right now here all the
Mm.
time, right? And that,
Yeah.
it's just what it
Yeah.
is, right? Like
Totally.
and so like you name something very specific that in this moment
Mhm.
in time,
Mhm.
certain people with certain identities are feeling a lot more unease or dis-ease, and
Yeah.
not safe
Yeah.
where I don't know, however many years ago they might have had a little bit more
Sure.
sense of safety.
Yeah.
um and maybe that's a good transition to talk about social action
Mhm.
and how, like, for me personally, my meditation practice, um specifically bodhisattva
Mhm.
vow and those
Yeah.
kinds of practices have
Yeah.
been a motivator to me to do the work that I do in the world,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like just
Yeah.
really clearly, like
Yeah.
that has put me on a certain path of wanting to help support mental health and well-being for all humans and
Yes.
beings, right?
Yes. Thank
In
you.
very in very concrete ways, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm
Yeah.
just really curious, like for you as a trans-identified person living in the world that we're in, how has what's the connection for you between your mindfulness or meditation practice and your activist work? And I
Mhm.
know, yeah, just I'll stop there.
Yeah. I mean, it's all connected. As we know, it's all connected. It's all connected. When I say ease in nature, it's ease in nature. I'm talking about trees. I'm talking about Joshua trees. I'm also talking about other humans. So it's all connected. So how can we find ease with each other? And I never really, I mean, maybe all of this is accidental, how I've lived my life when I think about it. But I wasn't always really, I transitioned when I was younger in my 20s. I didn't even know it was something you could do. This was pre-internet, and I did it because I just knew if I wanted to be alive, I wanted to find ease in my body that I needed to do it. So I figured it out, and I had a lot of support and a lot of help. And then I just went back to what I was doing, which was my life, because I need to make a livelihood. Um, a friend at the time, well, I guess he's back at Prescott College. Dan Garvey used to just say, "You being alive is a revolution. You being in the world, having you in the room is a revolution." And I was always like, "What is he talking about? He's just being nice," because I couldn't see it. And even my friend I just talked to an hour ago said, "When you're in the room, like that's enough. You're enough, and you're bringing to the people enough." Um, and I didn't want to be a political. I am political, but I didn't recognize in my 20s that what I was doing was politicized because I pass most of the time. And in my 30s, I did begin to realize that just being, not just being in the world, doing the work I do, and connecting and sharing when I want to disclose is my choice, number one, and it's okay to do. When I feel comfortable doing it, I'm going to do it. And the older I get, the more I'm doing it, and it feels right. It feels right. If I was a young teen, which I didn't have anybody who was trans in my life to my knowledge, I would want somebody, an elder, to say something because it's big. And the schools that I work at, the private schools that I work at, and the orgs, nonprofits I work at, now I'm sharing more because it's important for folks to have, for me to be visible, not because it's about me, but it's because it's all the people around me and all the people I don't know and all the ripple of people, the trans people and other identities that don't feel safe. Because we're all in this together. It's not about one issue, it's like all of the issues. And that does, I am more vocal in the work I do because it's the right thing to do. And if I see something, I definitely say something. And if I can't say something, I will do something because it's all connected. My liberation is connected with everybody else's, like for real. So I love that Dan Garvey told me that, and I think it's I think I've been living into it, if that makes sense, kind of living into the question. And I continue to think about both, like how can I still be um, verbal or be more kind of in the spotlight and keep myself safe? And I don't know that answer, especially today in these moments. I think I'm figuring it out. I know I'm figuring it out. But also, I know that I can take care of myself. I've been through some rough stuff and I can take care of myself. And I don't need to be on the front line, but I can be right behind the frontliners. And so, how I do it is I utilize the platforms I do have, which is the places that I work, the schools that I work, even if it's like, because I've been discriminated, like, don't tell people about that. Don't tell students about that. I've straight up could hold, well, I don't know about nowadays, but could have sued people left and right. That's not how I want to do it. I want to come in and I want people to be curious and recognize that they know somebody who's trans, who has compassion, who's going to treat them with respect, who's going to be curious about how they want to be treated and what they need to be to feel comfortable, and is going to stand up for them because we all need that. I needed that when I was a young person. I didn't have that. And so I'd like to believe what I'm trying to do is be the person that I wanted when I was 14 and struggling and just trying to like survive, you know? So
That's
that's like the path
so
I'm on. Yeah.
so beautiful, Lawrence. So beautiful. My husband and I, for a while, for a few years, we were foster parents.
Hmm.
And as part of the foster parent training, we were fostering Latino youth that had experienced family separation. So their parents were
Hmm.
deported. So that's who we were
Yeah.
fostering because we speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But we got the whole foster parent training. And one of the things that I learned that I never knew was that trans and LGBTQ plus youth are the largest proportion of teens in the foster system
Yeah. Yeah. I believe it.
because they have the struggle with their family that they're not accepted, they can't be who they are, and they either choose to leave or they're asked to leave or pushed
Yep.
out, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, for me, I had no idea. I have trans friends, I have LGBTQ friends, but it just never entered my consciousness that this was a
Sure.
reality for so many young people. And it's, so heartbreaking. So
Yeah.
heartbreaking that your family of origin can't be a safe place for you to be who you are.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
So I'm just really appreciating what you're saying because a lot of those youth, I don't think ever did have a positive role model, right?
Hmm.
And just knowing for other LGBTQ friends that I've had that are adults saying like, I didn't know how to be my true self in a positive way because there was no example.
Exactly. Exactly. Or the examples I saw on television were jokes.
Right.
Yeah. And
Or
or
negative
negative.
stereotypes,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Negative stereotypes.
Yeah.
Like I have a friend who's a gay man who
Hmm.
said the stereotype of gay men was that they just slept around and they couldn't have a long-term relationship and you'd never have a family and you couldn't have children. Our
Yeah.
generation, which is a little older, his and
Right.
mine,
Hmm.
probably a little older than you, but like that got imprinted in him and it took him a
Hmm.
while to be able to say that's not who I am,
Yeah.
actually. Like
Totally.
I'm actually a
Totally.
person who's monogamous. I'm actually a person who wants
Uh-huh.
to have a family. I'm actually a person who, whatever, whatever. But he didn't
Totally.
have any role model. He didn't have any loving support that helped him
Hmm.
be his true self in a positive way in his
Hmm.
identity. And that's
Hmm.
so I really am appreciating what you're saying because our young people really need those examples.
They do. And like you're pointing to as well, they also need to, like, I've been figuring out who I am, like most people, as I continue to grow older because I don't know. Like, I was like, all I saw were hetero, white, usually folks on television. And am I supposed to, especially as a man, am I supposed to be like that? Like, I know it's toxic. I know it's not awesome, So I think also giving young people or whatever, it doesn't even have to be young people, giving people space to explore who they are and how they want to be in the world on their own terms is probably going to take longer than we give young people, time to do. I know I work with people in their 20s and I'm like, oh, right. I'm kind of their mentor or like their instructors because they're my co-workers, but they're still figuring it out. And I'm still figuring it out. I don't know what I'm just doing the best I can from what I know. But I had the same experience thinking, okay, so my options are, yeah, living on the street, working in the sex industry, like whatever, hiding, never like paying rent, hiding, just like staying in the shadows, really. That's really what I thought. And I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be an outdoor educator working with young people and adults. I want to teach and I want to be, I want to support retreats. And that's like what I'm doing. But again, I had to like figure it out and I needed more time. The timeline that we give people in this world, in this country is ridiculous. I'm like, we just need more time and space to, because maybe we're not getting that non-biological family, but that familial support in a way until our 20s or 30s. And then we have the support, our friends, whoever it is, our chosen family, and then we can do a little more exploring and figure that out. But that's the older I get, the more that keeps coming up for me. Like when I'm working with young people and just giving them space wherever they are in their timeline. They're figuring it out, and we got to give some grace for them.
Well,
So,
I'm appreciating what you're saying, and I'm thinking I'm in my 50s,
mhm.
and my daughter recently had a baby, and now I have this new identity of grandma, right? And I just
Yeah.
feel like it's something beautiful about what you're saying is like our identities can evolve, and
Yeah.
life is changing, and we are growing and changing with it. So like now I have this new identity of grandma,
Yeah.
and that's a really beautiful and totally different thing
Hmm.
than raising my own family, being a parent, and yeah, and it's kind of trying on that new identity and seeing like how do I be my best grandma self, right? Which is
Totally,
totally
totally.
different than all the other roles that I've had in my life. And so I think there's some beauty in really understanding that we don't have a fixed identity ourselves. And so, can
Mhm.
we give that same grace to the other people in the world that they don't
Yeah,
need to have a fixed identity either, that they can grow and change and
yeah.
evolve and
Hmm.
explore and,
Yeah,
try new things on and see what in that moment is making their heart happy and allowing them to live into their best selves.
totally, totally. I mean, you could say that was true for me with meditation. I was like, oh, but I don't like religious. I'm not, or religion. I'm not spiritual. I'm not whatever. And then I was like, but I feel awesome when we're doing this. I love being in Sangha. I love being in community. I love connecting in a relational, mindful way. Like, and I was like, it took me a moment. And then I was kind of like, okay, I can commit to doing this and I can commit to having this identity because I want to. Nobody else needs to make those rules for me. Actually, this is my decision. So that's why I feel like sometimes I've stumbled into things and that permission, however it's given, whatever you need. One time I just wrote myself a permission slip that was like, fill in the identity. Like, what do you need? You have permission to feel grief. I have permission to take a day off. Like that is a lot. Like that's been just my childhood. That was very much part of my growing up. And I realized I need to be able to I want to give myself permission to be who I want to be because it's not over. And our identities are always going to evolve. And it could be day to day, year to year. I mean, it's just like so much. But yeah, my Buddhist identity is definitely evolved. But it was funny. I do remember when I was like, I'm giving myself permission to say yes to this because this is something I want to do. Yeah.
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. I wouldn't be sitting here, honestly. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
sitting here.
Yeah. Well, we talked about a lot, but was there anything that you were hoping to touch on that I didn't ask about or that you think might be important for folks to know or hear?
Yeah, I think, I mean, what I want to hear is wherever you are in your journey, wherever you are, because there's going to be multiple places you're right where you need to be, and you might not have the full picture, but take the next step, whatever step it is. It doesn't have to be forward, that feels good. And take the next step towards ease, whatever that means. And I'd love to see you all in nature sitting, or I'd love to have you come on a retreat. That's what I'm starting to put more energy to in this next phase with some amazing teachers and as I'm training to do this. But yeah, I just really want people to know that they're enough and that people are fighting in all sorts of different ways, compassionately with their words, in all the different ways. People are fighting with their gifts to create more compassion and understanding in the world. Yeah, there's a lot of us out there. Yeah.
There are, and that's one of the things that can bolster us when the
Hmm.
negativity feels overwhelming, that there are so many good people doing so much good work out there.
Yeah,
So
so
many good
much.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, my favorite question to end all my conversations with is, do you have a resource, whatever that might mean for you, a book, a website, anything at all that has really supported you in your mindfulness meditation journey that you would recommend? Like
Mm,
one, two,
yeah.
and what's your
Mm.
go-to?
Yes, there is. I'm like looking around because we finally took our books out. We have shelves for them. There are these like little yellow like books, just these little ones. Pema Chodron, Thich Nhat Hanh, probably other folks, and they just have like quotes on either, just every page has a quote.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's a little reading, but I think they're called like pocket mindfulness or something. They're really small. They're no bigger than like your hand. And I have ADHD, so these little readings
Mhm.
are my favorite. So these pocket mindfulness, and then Pema Chodron's Comfortable with Uncertainty. I bring that out in the field all the time. And students, and we do a lot of quotes in the field, and we'll read. It's like a one pager, but that's a regular size book. And I'll
Yeah.
just read it with students, and they're blown away all the time. They just love Comfortable with Uncertainty because a lot of being in the wilderness is getting comfortable with the uncertainty of the wilderness sometimes. So those two things, especially the Pema book, that's like my go-to when I'm
Yeah,
just like,
I feel
what?
like, yeah, that book, that Pema book, years ago when I was guiding a regular meditation at one of the local meditation centers, when I was guiding there, we would read that quote before we would start a sit. We would just, the one, whatever was the next page, we would read it. Then we would all sit, and it was always like, whoa, this is so good.
It's like just what you needed to hear, you know, like no matter what.
Exactly. That's Pema. That's Pema.
Yeah.
Well, what a joy to have this conversation, Lawrence. And for people listening, we will put his link in the notes down there. So if you want to explore what Lawrence is offering to the world, we would love that. And appreciating you and appreciating your time today so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much for having me and asking me. And yeah, I hope to see you around.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe on a retreat.
Yeah. Thank you.
Say Something Studios.